It's more than just an education program. It truly is a community. We want people to be engaged. We want people to want to be leaders.
Welcome to episode 55 of the LorainCounty.com Insights podcast. I'm your host, Ed Skimmon. As we get started, I want to recognize the LorainCounty.com champion sponsors for their ongoing support. Lorain County Community College, Lorain County JVS, Community Foundation of Lorain County, Emerge Inc., Lorain County Commissioners, and WOBL Radio. Today we're talking with Margarita Padua, President and CEO of Leadership Lorain County. Join us as Margarita talks about the organization's mission to develop lifelong learners and foster civic engagement. She shares insights into the signature class program, the summer internship opportunities for college students, and the impact of their strong alumni network. Margarita also discusses her personal journey to become CEO, how the organization is funded, and her vision for the future of Leadership Lorain County. I first met Margarita a couple years ago while we were working together on the Volunteer Connect project. When I later heard that she had been named the new Executive Director of Leadership Lorain County, I was genuinely excited. I believed she was the right person for the role, and she has more than proven that to be true. Leadership Lorain County plays a vital role in shaping our county's future. It helps cultivate strong, committed leaders who understand the importance of community, collaboration, and civic responsibility. That kind of leadership isn't just valuable, it's essential for our continued growth and success. Here is my conversation with Margarita Padua.
My name is Margarita Padua. I am the President and CEO at Leadership Lorain County.
Hi, Margarita. Thank you for joining us and sharing your insights. Could you provide an overview of Leadership Lorain County and your role with the organization?
I am the Chief Executive of the organization. We are a nonprofit organization that began in 1984, and we're focused around leadership development and civic engagement, primarily for existing professionals, but we also have an intern program where we give college students nonprofit experience and also develop their leadership skills. So really, it's about developing lifelong leaders who serve as catalysts for positive change.
I'm a proud graduate of the best class of 1998. Could you talk about Leadership's signature class program and the benefits that participants receive?
So the program is a 10-month program. It's usually once a month. There is an overnight retreat thrown in there. And in May, there's actually 2 dates that you get to see us and be all together. And each day is focused around a different part of the county. Generally speaking, it's about seeing the different sectors of the community. What are the needs? What are the resources? And then how can this group of diverse leaders work together to address these needs?
Who are some of the participants, or where do they come from?
We accept people of all sectors, all backgrounds. We've had really amazing people come through the classes. Almost any person you can think of, Victor Leandri, Ryan Aroni, Dan Haight, Amy DeLuca from Wickenhurzer and Panza, Gail Stumphauser, who was the previous executive director. She also went through the class before she became the executive director. So you don't have to already be a supervisor to come through the class, although in the past it was much more focused on people who were already in leadership roles. But we've kind of adopted the philosophy that you don't have to be in a quote-unquote leadership role or be a supervisor to be a leader. Anybody can be a leader, and we want as many people to be engaged in the community as possible.
You mentioned the summer internship program. Tell us more about that.
The summer internship program is actually where I found Leadership Lorain County. So when I was in college, I interned at El Centro in Lorain, and we place the interns at different nonprofit organizations that are within our program. They work whatever their schedule is there during the week. And then on Fridays, we do our leadership session days. So similar to the signature class where we get together once a month and talk about a different topic, we do that, but condensed for our interns. And so every Friday from 9 to noon, they get together. They take different tours. They do different leadership development exercises. Like, yesterday we did impromptu speeches. They also do resume building. They do interview skills, HR prep. They went to the Lorain County Jail and took a tour and heard about the different challenges that they face there. They really need a new jail, by the way. That's a shout out. So it's that twofold kind of process of, okay, they're in the office, they're learning different leadership skills. Again, that's open to students of all backgrounds. They can be of any major. And we teach them how their skills can be utilized in a nonprofit. And the hope would be that they learn enough about the county so that they can see themselves in the community and not think that they have to move away to get a really amazing job or to have full recreation opportunities. They can still stay within Lorain County, bring their talent, and help our community.
Who are some of the nonprofits that they work with?
Currently this year, we have El Centro, we have the Lorain County Free Clinic, we have the Lorain County Jail, Neighborhood Alliance, Oberlin Heritage Center. I myself have 2 interns here in our office at Leadership Lorain County.
How is Leadership Lorain County funded? What are your different sources of funding?
We do have grants, but our grant funding is actually very minimal. The majority of how we are funded is through class tuitions. So the signature class is what allows us to operate throughout the year. And then any grant funding that we have is just additional, but at this point, it's minimal. The intern program itself is covered completely by a grant from the Community Foundation of Lorain County.
And the students are paid?
The students are paid interns, yes. And they have to at least get paid $12.50 an hour, but they can make up to $15 an hour depending on the site's discretion because they're partially reimbursed with the grant.
So Leadership Lorain County has a strong alumni network from small businesses, large companies, nonprofits, government agencies. What initiatives or strategies are you using to keep connected and engaged with alumni?
Calling on our alumni to be our teachers and our advocates in the community, or just spread by word of mouth their experience in the program and it was beneficial for them, but also bringing them into the classes so that they can pass on their expertise and their skills to our future classes, having them serve on boards and connecting with us about if there's a certain board opportunity that they're interested in, that they want to be connected with, an organization that they feel very passionate about, and just having ongoing alumni events and a luncheon, a happy hour, getting them together. And there's a lot of kind of organic engagement that happens between class members. Like I just talked to someone today that was in the class of 2008 that gets together with the people from her class like monthly or whenever they do get together. It feels like they just pick up right where they left off. So some really deep bonds have been made in the classes. And that's the side benefit. Yes, we want people to be engaged in the community, know what the needs, what are the resources, how can I help, but also a community of like-minded individuals who may be from a completely different professional background, but they're still passionate about helping the community. And that itself brings people together, which is really nice.
So connected to that, how do you define success at Leadership Lorain County? What are the metrics and outcomes that are important to you?
The clear-cut numbers. How many people come through our class. We usually target for about 40 people each year for the signature class. We usually target about 14 to 18 interns each summer. We always want our class projects to also use that SMART goal model. We want to know, what are we trying to achieve with this project? And that changes from year to year depending on what projects are proposed. The other thing is just engagement. How many people are showing up to our events? How are we keeping people engaged after? What is their career trajectory after they leave the class? Did they decide to join a board? Did they decide to become a regular volunteer? Did they get promoted at their job because of their leadership training? So those are things we are starting to look at and track, find better ways to track going forward, because a lot of that is qualitative data and, got to keep up with people to be able to do that.
Let's talk a little bit about the class projects. Nonprofits pitch ideas and the class chooses which ones to get engaged with. Talk a little bit more about that.
It's actually not only nonprofits, so community groups, any need that there is that can be pitched. So we've had anything as big as establishing a whole new nonprofit. So Blessing House, Big Brothers Big Sisters of Lorain County, both of those were complete nonprofits that were started through class projects. There's also been things that are a little smaller, but equally as impactful, like community cleanup days, going to different nonprofits, or this year they went to a daycare and they built a garden bed for the kids to be able to learn about agriculture, learn about the different plants and insects that grow. And they painted the inside of the gym so that it was just a cleaner, nicer space for the children. So really, it's anything under the sun. The qualifications are that it just has to address a community need. And then there has to be enough class members that are interested in contributing to that project so that it can move forward. Also, Volunteer Connect was an amazing class project that started in the class of 2024. And so that was a collaboration with the Community Foundation of Lorain County, loraincounty.com, and Leadership Lorain County.
And I mean, as you know, we sit on a group collaborative meeting now across 2 classes that, are participating and continuing to grow Volunteer Connect.
Yeah.
What is something people don't normally know about Leadership Lorain County that you'd want them to know?
It's more than just an education program. It truly is a community. We don't forget about you just when you walk across that stage and grab your certificate. We want people to be engaged. We want people to want to be leaders in the community. So I think that can sometimes be a misconception. Like, it's not just the class, it's much more. And yes, you came through as whatever your job was at that time. But even if you were to leave that role, we still want you to be engaged.
In Lorain County, what do you see as the biggest trends related to leadership development, and how is the organization adapting to these changes?
I think it's in two different directions. When you think leadership development, you think, okay, what are those very specific tools and skills that a leader needs? The DISC assessment, and how do we analyze data and track metrics, and all of those things that leaders need to know how to do. But then there's also leadership in terms of engagement and, okay, what is around me? How can I relate best to others? And kind of that emotional intelligence piece and just like knowledge of place. I think a lot of people are looking for those tactile skills and like those very specific kind of metric-based learning. And again, those are really important. I would like to see more people be interested in being involved in the community and adding their skills to the community. I think we're also in this post-COVID world where people are still in their bubbles a little bit. They want to know how to do their job better. And that's great. That's needed.
You talked about how the class finds community needs. What are some of the community needs that you're finding?
The teacher shortage. Education Day talked a lot about the need for really good teachers. Law and government. Again, the jail, they have like maybe 4 or 5 cells only for people who are experiencing some severe mental health issues that need to be separated. Each day you hear a different need, health and wellness, the mental health crisis, the increase in suicides. I think there was a decline there for a second, but also in overdose deaths and as well, which there was also has been a decline in Lorain County. But each day has its own explanation of what is the need. And we try to then not leave it so open-ended, like where we're just talking about what's needed, but also bring in some resources. And this coming year, I also would like to just have a lot more conversations between class members on potential ways to solve these issues.
I think in any of those, I'm always intrigued by how many different organizations are attacking or working on some segment of the issue, and maybe not overall, or where there's cross, and learning where there's gaps where somebody isn't covering this, so as opposed to overlap where 3 people are covering the same thing and there may be some other aspect of it that nobody's really covering.
Yes, absolutely.
So let's switch over and talk a little bit about you.
Yeah.
What's your background and what led you to the CEO of leadership?
I grew up in South Lorain, around the corner from, anybody knows this, it's now the Boys and Girls Club, but when I was growing up, it was like a Family Dollar General. So I grew up going to the South Branch Library. I was a very big Sacred Heart goer, and I was very involved in my church. Actually, the Jephthah Carroll Award is a class-elected award. The class nominates the leader amongst them, and the first winner of that award was Father Bill Faden, who was the pastor at Sacred Heart, and he's my godfather. And he's always been very involved in the community, and he went through leadership in 2008. But at some point when I was like 15 or 16, the secretary of the church moved on to another position. And so I stepped in as the church secretary. I was helping coordinate his schedule, updating records, organizing the monthly homeless luncheon. That gave me a lot of experience early on. That was my first board position. I was elected as the youngest member of the pastoral council, helping, run the church and what are the fundraising events? How can we get people to be more engaged? It gave me the public speaking experience. And then through that as well, there was a movement going on called Reclaim Lorain. I became involved in that because my mom was involved in it. I was registering people to vote. I was phone banking, attending all these events with senators and representatives. So it was ingrained into me so young. And when I went to college, or was deciding where I was going to go to college, I graduated from Elair Catholic High School. I decided that I wanted to be a lawyer, but I didn't want to do the typical route of being a political science major. I'm like, I'm going to go for social work. But my mom's a social worker. I'm not going to be a social worker. I'm just doing it because I really want to know how to help people. And I want to have that background in service. And I want to bring that to my law degree and then advocate for people in the courtroom and just have that background of really practically helping people better their lives. So I went to LCCC, got my Associate of Arts, and then went to the University of Akron, got my Bachelor's of Social Work. While I was doing my bachelor's is when I found leadership Lorain County. I did my social work internship at El Centro in Lorain. I learned it's very rare to get a macro kind of level social work internship as an undergrad. But in typical nonprofit fashion, Victor's like, we need help. I have a drawer in there that has all my grant paperwork. Sort through it and create a schedule and when are my reports due and just all this kind of stuff. So he actually is the one who referred me to Leadership Lorain County. He said, this is a program you can do at least for the summer. This will help you get some compensation for your time. It will also teach you leadership skills and show you around the county. I did the program. I ended up getting hired in at El Centro while I was still doing my bachelor's degree. I ended up getting hired in their money management program. I was doing case management and I was a representative payee for people who have severe mental illness. And my husband, he's a Cleveland police officer. So we moved to Cleveland. And then I said, okay, well, I want to have a job that is closer to Cleveland. I started working at the National Youth Advocate Program and a therapeutic foster care agency. I was a foster care social worker in Cleveland, but they also have branches actually all over the U.S. And then I ended up being a licensing coordinator where I was investigating abuse and neglect in foster homes. I was relicensing homes, investigating new foster parents who wanted to become foster parents. Through that job, which was a really great experience, but I always knew, again, I wanted to be a lawyer. I knew that I needed some experience in the field before I went on to law school. I had no interest in going directly back to school. I was also a broke college student living on my own. So I'm like, I need to make some money. That's how I ended up at National Youth Advocate Program. I got pregnant with my son, and a series of unfortunate events unfolded in my life. I had my son that same day. My husband's grandmother passed away in the same hospital. Then 2 to 3 weeks later, my husband was playing basketball, broke his arm. It was like a really nasty break. So I'm changing every diaper by myself. He actually has a plate and screws in his arm now. And then really sadly and unfortunately, I was like 3 months postpartum. I had a family member that was murdered in a domestic violence incident. It was actually at the McDonald's in Sheffield. And that was a very close family member of mine. She's my cousin, her son, my godson. Our last names were very close. So we went to school together growing up. Like our lockers were next to each other. It was a very tough time. And it was kind of just like punch after punch after punch. Unfortunately, that happened the week before I was to go back from my maternity leave. I did go back. And my head wasn't in the game. There was just too much going on. It seemed very much like a crossroads moment. And so what I think now is very courageous because I had really no plan. I'm like, I just can't do this right now. I really just want to focus on my son. And so I walked away. I left in a really nice way, and I still love that organization. They do really amazing work. I took a year off, but during that year, of course, as us working moms do, you can't just take a year off. So I took a grant writing course. I started side hustling, doing funding strategies for nonprofits. Just, hey, I can find the grants for you. I have no tested anything when it comes to actually winning the grant money, but I can at least find, based on these different parameters, like where does this foundation normally give money to? How much do they give each year? Do they really say that they give a certain amount, but they give a lesser amount? Do they say that they support X, Y, and Z different programs, but they really focus on X? Data analysis is actually fun for me. So going through all those different factors and finding what is the best options, what do you have the highest chance of winning? Through that work is actually how I got hired at Leadership Lorain County. I became a development assistant. That was in 2023. And through the transition that the organization was naturally going through, I ended up being the president and CEO.
How would you like to put your personal stamp in the organization? What are some of the goals or initiatives that you're most excited to champion?
I want this to truly be a space of community. My long-term vision, I would love to have a space where people could co-work. People who are working from home or working remotely could come in and just work. I would love to see our alumni be even more engaged and just draw from our really talented alumni even more, matching them up to be mentors with people who are going through the class or our interns. I would love to see us do an executive level program that is focused on engaging our Lorain County leaders with Northeast Ohio as a whole. We're Leadership Lorain County, but we have a Leadership Medina Day. We have a Leadership Erie County Day, a Leadership Cleveland Day. Go down to Columbus and see Leadership Ohio. I think in the short term, I would like to see us return a lot more community building, having people, again, understand that it's not just going through the class, it's staying engaged and being a part of the community.
Outside of work, what are your hobbies, interests, and how do they help recharge you?
I love traveling. So I just got back from a trip from Spain. I am planning my next trip to Florida. I love learning about new cultures. I'm a foodie, so I know all the good food places. I love, obviously, hanging out with my son. He loves Spider-Man and all things superhero. He's a huge fan, huge fan. He has every single action figure. He loves it. And having a dad as a cop, that's his biggest hero too, which is really sweet. I also go to the gym. I go to Hot Works. It's like a sauna workout place. And it's a little dark in there. The sauna is super hot and it's very meditative. I also love meditating. I'm a big gratitude journaler. I always take a moment to say, what am I grateful for? I think those are all ways that I recharge.
Finally, where can people go to get more information on Leadership Lorain County and connect with you?
Anybody can email me at director@leadershiploraincounty.com. I'm very good at responding. You can also go on our website, leadershiploraincounty.com, find out more about our programs, how you can get involved. Our phone number here at the office is also 440-281-8535, and you can give us a call as well.
Thanks, Margarita, for joining us and sharing your insights.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the LorainCounty.com Insights Podcast. Each episode, we share conversations with the people shaping life in Lorain County, from business and government to education, nonprofits, healthcare, and entertainment. Be sure to follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. You can also visit LorainCounty.com to discover local events, volunteer opportunities, and more community resources. If you know someone who's making a difference in Lorain County, send us a note at podcast@loraincounty.com. We would love to share their story and insights. Special thanks to our producer, Leah Gerke, and to you for listening. This has been the LorainCounty.com Insights Podcast, conversations with the people shaping Lorain County.